So thanks everyone for joining us today for this webinar on why tech, why Adobe. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you for the next hour, where you're going to get some more insight into Adobe and who we are, which is really about us changing the world through digital experiences, and giving you a sneak peek in terms of our early career opportunities and Adobe as a career destination. So we can flick to the next slide, please. Awesome. I hope you all enjoyed that video as much as I do. I really love watching that video every time. It just gives me a sense of what an amazing initiative we have across the globe for our interns and grads. So to introduce myself, I'm Mccabe. I manage our university recruiting team across Europe. And really welcome everyone to our first ever autumn webinar series, where we'll be shining a light again on opportunities here at Adobe for students and graduates. So we expect the session, as I mentioned, to last about an hour. And really there'll be a combination of some video content, an opportunity for Q&A. So we'd love some engagement and participation through the chat section throughout. And there'll also be a panel discussion featuring some of our own interns, and you can learn about their experiences. As well as that, we've got some of our fearless leaders with us today. We've got a senior tech female leader, and another one of our senior directors on the call. So I will let them introduce themselves throughout this, which is Jen and Tara. Today's session is being recorded and will be shared on our blog, so you can catch up on the details at a later date. But as I mentioned, we'd love as much interaction as possible. This is really for you to get as much information as you would like to out of Adobe and what opportunities we have for you in the future. So please use the toolbar in the chat section to speak with each other, speak with our panelists, and please use the Q&A tool to ask your questions and any general comments as we go through today's session. So we're really, really excited to have that interaction. If you wouldn't mind, we'd love to hear a little bit about yourselves to start with. So if you could just introduce yourself in the chat section, let us know who you are. Give us a hi, give us a wave, tell us what university you're joining us from today, and what you're studying. So we would love to hear from you all and see where you're all joining us from. And by selecting, if you make sure your message is being sent to all panelists and attendees, it just makes sure that goes out in a group way and not to anyone directly. So that's just the kind of housekeeping piece out of the way. So whilst you're all getting to know each other, let me just quickly run through the agenda for today. So first up, we have Jennifer Petrie joining as an enterprise account executive, who's going to tell you a little bit more about our intern and grad program here at Adobe, and really the purpose of these webinars. So again, what kind of you can look forward to and what you can get out of each of these sessions. Keep an eye out for some polls, as we'd love to hear from you and get your feedback as we go into one of these first sessions. Following on from Jen, we'll hear from Tara Rule, so our Senior Director of Commercial Strategy and Operations. And she's going to tell us about her story, how she's really climbed through the ranks here at Adobe, but throughout her career, and some inspiring kind of thoughts and tips from her as a female tech leader in the industry. After that, we'll be hosting a panel discussion, bringing all of these people together. So we've got Jen, Tara, and Jasmine, who is one of our Adobe interns, who can talk and share all of their experiences, and give you some best tips, takeaways, and advice as you go into kind of your application processes and looking at what career opportunities you're interested in. Finally, just a huge thank you for being here, for being engaged, for all of your inputs. As I mentioned, we really value the fact that you're spending the next sort of 50 minutes now with us, and really look forward to some more engagement and seeing your applications off the back of this. So look out for a link as well in the chat pod. We will be getting your feedback on this session. We'd love to hear from you as well there. So that's all from me. Enjoy the next 50 minutes or so. Please get out of this session by engaging, asking questions. And with that, I will pass over to Jennifer to kick off.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you.
As Lauren said, it's lovely to have you all here. So thanks very much for joining us today. I'm going to talk through a little bit about Adobe and what it means to be an intern at Adobe. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about me. As Lauren said, I am one of the account managers in the digital experience space. Adobe's got 3, don't get worried, we'll come through those. And I look after our accounts in the Middle East and North Africa. So hopefully, once lockdowns and travel is open up again, I'll be doing a lot more traveling, but I'm really excited to be here with you today. So I'm hoping a lot of you will remember Friends or will have seen Friends. I know it's a bit old now, but it's great. I did my internship at Xerox, and actually I didn't really know anything about Xerox when I started, except that that lady on the screen there broke up Ross and Rachel. And so I was pretty devastated about that. But it was a really good experience for me. And actually, I don't think I'd be where I am today without going through that internship. It's not in the same space. It's not in the same industry. And my role wasn't the same, but I learned so much about business, about enterprise, and about actually what it means to be successful in a role, that it was so impactful for me. So I'm hoping you'll all get the same out of your internships, whether they're at Adobe, which we hope they are, or whether they're elsewhere. So next, I've just got a little bit of a poll for you actually. Just to set the scene today, if you could answer the poll that should pop up on the right-hand side, what do you know about Adobe right now? I'll give everyone a couple of minutes, or seconds, sorry. Perfect. So thank you very much. I'm going to give you a bit of an intro to who Adobe is and what we've done. I know lots of you have seen PDFs, but probably know very little about the rest of Adobe. So don't worry, we'll cover that today. And there's some of you that know everything. So those of you that answered, I know almost everything, answer our questions for us, put them in the chat pod and help us along the way. But if we move on to the next slide. Lauren already said this, but I think it's really important. Adobe's mission is to change the world through digital experiences. We hope that we can touch everybody globally and actually make their lives better, whether that's you as a marketer, you as a customer, or you as a user, and actually developing the systems backend or receiving those PDFs. I'm sure a lot of you will have signed your rental agreements through Adobe Sign, hopefully. So that's the sort of thing that we do, and we want to make everybody's life easier through digital experiences. Next slide, please. I actually want to come on to a bit of a video.
This is not a hotel. This is pick your room on the app before you arrive and skip the check-in line. For us, this is not a hotel. This is pick your room on the app before you arrive and skip the check-in line. This is a room that knows your favorite shows, songs, and temperature. This is we know you like symphonies, sushi, and golf. So we've already booked your tickets, reserved you a table, and sent your itinerary to your watch. This is not a hotel. This is what happens when Adobe helps brands to make data and design work together. This is an experience. Make experience your business with Adobe Experience Cloud.
So that's just a bit of an overview of what Adobe can do to support in those digital experiences and how it can help. Now that focused on the Experience Cloud, which is our business to business sort of operations where we support other organizations to help improve their customer experiences. But we actually use that, and the Creative Cloud has gone in to help make that video. So all of those wonderful graphics, all of those videos have come through Adobe's Creative Cloud. So that's Adobe in a nutshell, whether that's our Creative Cloud through the videos, the graphics that you've seen already, our Document Cloud that we've talked about, and many of you have got experience with PDFs, or our Experience Cloud, which is built for marketers. Now, a little bit more about what it's like to actually work for Adobe. Firstly, Adobe is for all. We have a really strong core belief that everybody deserves respect and equal treatment. And it's something that we live and breathe in our daily work. So we have such a diverse team and such an array of experiences and people working for us. And we want to continue with that. So we would love to have this presentation in the way that Adobe operates. And would like you to be included, would like you to chat, would like you to ask questions and really share your thoughts as we go along. Next one, please. I've already talked about changing the world through digital experiences, and I've talked a little bit around our three elements of Adobe: the creative, the document, and the experience. On the screen that you'll see now is just some of our priorities and our capabilities, and also what our core values are. So when I started my placement, I've already said I didn't know a lot about Xerox at all. I knew that they did printers. That was about it. But the reason I got the role is because I had the same values and the same sort of philosophy that they had. And I think that's the most important thing. I know when I was hiring my intern this year, I was looking at, did she meet our criteria around values? Was she genuine? Was she innovative and would come to us with ideas and suggestions? Did she want to get involved in what we were looking at? And was she exceptional? And obviously all of these can be improved whilst you're in your internship, and that's what we want to support you to do. But a lot of it is about being your authentic self and being open to doing that and to sharing that with the rest of Adobe, because we learn as much from you as hopefully you learn from us. Next slide, please. So I briefly touched on the Adobe core values, and I wanted to share those with you in a little bit more detail. And what do they mean? How do you know if you're genuine or exceptional? So for us, you can see a brief overview of them on the screen. But also, I think about being who you are. So genuine is very much about that. You are sincere, you are trustworthy. We want our customers and our colleagues to trust us, to know that we will deliver what we've said we're going to do, and to actually, for us as people to be open to say, actually, I can't do that as well. So that's what genuine's about. It's about treating others with respect and being trustworthy and open. Exceptional is a difficult one. We're not looking for Olympic athletes, although we have got a couple. It's about making sure that all of the experiences that you have are exceptional and delight others, whether that's internally and you're helping your teamwork, or whether that's with customers or other businesses that we work with. We work with other organizations and partners like Microsoft, Accenture, Deloitte, etc. as well, and agencies too. So we want to make sure all of those are exceptional experiences. Innovation is the next one. We want to ensure that everybody has the chance to be innovative. Creative isn't just those who can make wonderful pictures and wonderful artwork and wonderful adverts, but you can be innovative and creative in your response to something. You can look to challenge the way that it's done already and bring in new ideas and new ways of doing things that improve the business. And we want everyone to be involved. I've already talked about how we're inclusive, how we're open, but we want everybody to show up, to participate, to have an opinion, and to help everybody else. Are there any questions on that? I've just seen there's a couple in the chat already. No questions yet, but do feel free to ask questions. Next slide then, please. So I wanted to talk you through the positions that we've got available. This is across Europe, so Maidenhead, London, Dublin, and Bucharest. We've got 160 interns and over 60 grads. So there's pretty much something for everybody. And if you're not sure what the right one for you is, feel free to put them in the chat or to message me on LinkedIn afterwards, anything like that. I'm happy to help with this. So we'll just run through the roles if you just want to click. This is one of those annoying build slides, so I'm sorry, everybody. I think we've just missed, maybe it's just me being a bit slow there. Legal, yes, perfect. So the first one we have is anyone who's studying law or who has an interest in law. You don't need to be a lawyer or to be studying that at the moment, but we have a legal operations specialist. This is somebody who will help with our legal team with contracts and with corporate law and corporate law matters as well there. So we've got roles in legal. Again, this is for document, experience, and Creative Cloud. So it's across the board. Next one, please. Customer and employee experience. This is a fantastic area to be in. So here you'll get to network and work with all of the different people within Adobe, all of the different roles. And you will be an employee resource center generalist, which just means that you help everybody in Adobe. So you really will be a crucial linchpin there. Next one, please. This is the area I sit in. So this is sales. Don't worry, you don't have to think of car salesmen. That's not what we're like. We've got quite a number of roles in sales, whether you're more focused on the operations and analyzing the results and numbers to help us set our strategic direction. A solutions consultant, which is a bit more of a technical role, presenting our solutions and what we can do. A renewal sales specialist, working with existing customers to make sure that we can continue to support them. And a field sales specialist, which is looking at not only working with existing customers, but growing how we work with them and also growing with new customers in new markets as well. Next one is strategy. So we've got the digital strategy group and international business strategist. This is looking at how we can grow as Adobe. Lots of analysis, lots of ideas. This is where innovation really comes into play. So we want you to be able to support and to be able to come to us with new ideas around where you think we can do better. Obviously, we are a data-based organization, so we'll be looking at data, analyzing data and making decisions based on that too. Marketing is another area, one of Adobe's sort of core areas as well, given the fact that we actually work with a lot of marketers. We've got a number of roles there that you can see on the screen today that will be working for everything from encouraging new organizations to join Adobe, to understand what Adobe does and to eventually pass on to sales and work with us, but also building the brand and the partnership as well there, to how we partner with the organizations I've talked about, like Accenture, Deloitte, Microsoft as well. So there's lots of opportunities not only to work with Adobe, but other organizations. The next one is finance. So this is understanding how we can grow as a business, where our growth areas are, and how we can continue to actually be profitable as an organization. And finally, we're looking at technology. These are our sort of real core roles around research, understanding the products and how the products can progress and grow further as well. So that's our roles. If we want to click next, you should see them all on the screen again. And make a note of any that you're particularly interested in. If there's questions around those, or if you want to know more, we can actually share those with you as well. So perfect. Thank you very much. And if we want to go on to the next area, which is around what will an internship look like for you? So what does it mean to be an intern? We have summer internships or we have year-long placements as well, for those that have just got a little bit of break over summer and those that want to do a full year with us. We also have graduates. So again, if you're joining this webinar as a graduate, we have the same sort of roles available. Do feel free, it all applies basically. You'll benefit from meeting with our VPs and our directors, but also our customers as well, and the senior people within our customers. You can have a Q&A with our CEO, Shantanu, who's been with the business for over 15 years now, and really understand what it takes for Adobe to get to where it has got to today and how we can grow further. There is also an amazing collaboration and environment for our interns, where you'll come together, you'll socialize, there's an intern summit so you can learn from each other, get new friends out of this as well. We are very, very proactive around development. So you can see their talent development sessions, but also mentorship programs. And you're going to be speaking to one of our mentors shortly. Tara will be joining us shortly. She's actually run some of our mentor sessions as well. And then we've got socials that I've mentioned as well. So my intern was out for drinks with the rest of the interns last Thursday in central London. So they had a great time. And finally, there's a project expo, which means you can have a project that you'll present and you'll get the buy-in from all of the Adobe stakeholders, all of the internal people within Adobe, and there are prizes. But don't just take my word for it. We've got another short video coming up just from a couple of our interns at the moment about what they're getting out of the experience.
You will gain invaluable skills and opportunities
whilst being part of an organisation that puts people first.
Perfect. So next slide, please. With all of that in mind, can I ask for another poll? Who wants to join Adobe now? So you should see a poll coming up. And we'll give you a couple of seconds and again, and I'm just going to check the chat panel to see if there's any extra questions. I'm going to be closing the poll in 5, 4, get your answers in, 1. Okay, so let's have a look at that. And then we'll go on to the next. Yes, all of you, brilliant. So you've said, where do I sign up? There will be a little link that will come into the chat that we'd love you to sign up and have a look at. There's also some saying they've got some more questions. Feel free to post your questions in the chat pod. Also come back to us directly. We're happy to answer those. And some that aren't sure of the roles, speak to us. We can put you in touch with the existing interns in those roles so you can learn a little bit more about them. We've also got another session coming up in a few weeks with some of those interns where they can ask questions as well. So with that, I'll pass over to Tara, who I've already mentioned is one of our lovely mentors and has actually done a mentor session with me. So you're in great hands. Over to you, Tara.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Right, so I want to share with you, I thought this would be a nice intro slide rather than just having my professional photo and my job title. We are really passionate about Adobe for All. So a couple of weeks ago, if you are connected with anyone on LinkedIn that works at Adobe, we kind of took over LinkedIn sharing our stories. And this is a post that I put on LinkedIn about my story. But actually, rather than you reading this, I wanted to bring it to life for you in person. So this next 20 minutes or so, I have split into 3 chapters. The first chapter being, who am I? Then sharing some pivotal moments in my career, and then finally some of my top tips. And obviously I'll be on the panel later. So let's start off with, who am I? So I would say there are 3 parts of me. First part is the professional me, the blurry background photo, the person who has worked their way up through corporate life for many, many years. I started work at 18. I didn't actually go to university. I started working at 18 and all I wanted to do was work in London. That was it. I wanted to work in London. That was my dream. So at 18, I got a job in London. I worked for a cruise company. It was a great job. I loved working in London life. I moved over to a film company, and then I decided to get qualified as an accountant. So I did night school for 3 years to become qualified as an accountant. And once I was qualified, that is the time that I took the step into corporate life. And my first real corporate job was at O2. I spent 11 years there. I know I don't look old enough, but I spent 11 years at O2 and I really worked my way up while I was there. I actually had 9 jobs while I was at O2, really kind of progressing, taking next step, really stretching out my comfort zone. I loved O2. I am a massive, massive fan of O2. But I decided to take the leap about 5 years ago now to move to Adobe, and I haven't looked back. I absolutely love working for such a fast-paced company where there's a growth mindset. We've adapted really well over the last 18 months where we've all been working from home. And I love the fact that actually Adobe isn't just a company who makes PDFs. We are literally here helping businesses run during the pandemic. So I'm really, really passionate about Adobe, what we stand for, what we do. So that's the kind of professional me. The second part of me is the coach and the mentor. So as Jennifer mentioned, I am a mentor. I have been a mentor for many, many years. I actually started mentoring people that were on the grad scheme at O2. That's where I really got my passion for mentoring. And then I decided to take it one step further, and I became a professional coach. So I got qualified a couple of years ago as a professional coach, and that is my absolute passion. That's what I love doing. And then the third part of me is I'm a mum. I'm a mum and a wife. I've got two amazing young girls. They're now 8 and 11. I don't quite know how they've got that old, but that is the other part of my life. But the thing that I want to land here is, although I see myself as having 3 parts, I bring my whole self to work. I'm not just the professional me, and I'm not just the coach me, and I leave my personal stuff at home. Actually, the people that I work with, I show up as me every single day. And that's something that I've done for a long, long time. And I would implore everybody here to go, how do you bring your whole self to work and to college or anything that you're doing all the time? So that was who am I? Next one is some pivotal moments in my career. So I am consistently stretching outside of my comfort zone. I am renowned to say yes to stuff. Even when I was asked if I could talk in this session, I was given a very, very brief overview, but my immediate answer was yes. Do I want to do a talk externally? Yes. And then later on I go, so what is it? How long? Who's the audience? How long do you want me to talk for? But I have the mentality of saying yes to stuff. And I've done that throughout my whole career. And I think it's something that when we are in such a competitive marketplace like we are at the moment, actually doing things to stretch out of your comfort zone, to take a risk, to do something different, to effectively be a bit vulnerable and do something that you're not sure whether you can do. Actually, I think that is where true growth happens. So that would be my first thing, that the pivotal moment is I've done it time and time and time again, really stretched outside of my comfort zone. So the second pivotal moment is really when I started mentoring. I first started mentoring about 8 years ago, and I got approached by my boss. And he said, I've got somebody, they're actually on a grad scheme, and I think you'd be amazing to mentor them. And I really just went, really? Me? Surely they've got nothing that they could learn from me. And he kind of smiled inwardly, going, there's a lot to learn about yourself, but go for it, mentor somebody and you'll be amazed. And for me, I actually was shocked that by mentoring somebody, I really had to dig deep about how I did stuff. So one of the questions I remember her asking is, how do you ask such insightful questions when we're in meetings? And they're going, I don't know, I just ask a question. But you can't do that when you're mentoring. You have to really dig deep and find out about what you do and how you do it and what your strengths are and what your superpowers are, to really kind of get comfortable with it and own it and then share it with other people. So that is another thing that has really elevated me, I think, to where I am today, because I really understand me. I understand my superpowers. I understand my strengths. I understand my values. Mentoring has helped me get there. But I think that's one thing that if you know about yourself, know what you want, then that can really, really help you in life. And my third piece would be about asking for a pay rise. So imagine this, you're 18, you've got your first job in London, you were earning the crazy heights of £12,000 a year. And I've had feedback that I'm really good. I've had feedback from my boss and lots of people around me that I'm doing an amazing job. So they call me in, my boss calls me in, I'm 18, he's 50, and he calls me in and he says, congratulations, here's your pay rise. And he gives me a letter. And I open the letter all excited, and the pay rise says that I'm going to get £500. And I go, really? £500 pay rise? After everything you've just said about how good I am. And in that moment, I had a choice. I had a choice to say, thank you, and walk out the room and be quite disappointed. Or I had a choice to go, hang on a second, this doesn't quite add up. So I decided the latter. I decided I owed it to myself, not to be rude, not to be forthright about thinking that I deserve stuff, but actually just calling them out. So I said to him, oh, well, thank you, obviously, but I am a little bit surprised. You've given me such amazing feedback about how great I am, and it doesn't quite tally with the £500 pay rise you've given me. And he went, oh, okay. So how much were you expecting? And I said, well, I was kind of hoping I'd have had £2,000 pay rise. So he was a bit taken aback, and he went, okay, well, leave it with me. So I left, and the next day he called me in, and he gave me a new letter. And you guessed it, it's for £2,000 pay rise. And that, to me, I think has helped my confidence throughout the years. It's not about just having a sense of, hey, do you know what, I deserve everything kind of handed to me, but it's about a sense of, if you work hard, if you apply yourself, and if you get good feedback, what's the worst that can happen by asking? So I think that was a real pivotal moment for me. But now I want to give you some tips. So what are my top tips that I want to share with you? So the first thing I'd say is do what you enjoy and makes you happy. If you think about you now in university, in college, or when you were doing A-levels or whatever exams you were doing, if you were predicted an E for something, and they said, right, you predicted an E, and we want you to get a pass level, we want you to get a C, just think about how hard you'd need to work to get that E up to a C. But if you were predicted an A for something, and your teacher said to you, hey, if you just work a little bit harder, I think we can turn that A into an A star. It's a lot less effort. It's a lot more of doing what you enjoy. And actually, it's a really big payoff being able to get A stars. So for me, this really translates, even now, doing what I enjoy and asking my teams to what they enjoy and what makes them happy. Actually, that's when I think we'll get the most out of everybody. So spend time thinking about you. What do you enjoy? What makes you happy? And spend as much time as possible doing those things. My second one would be that you are not defined by your exam results. You'll all be going through different exams at the moment at different stages, predicted different levels. I did awful in exams. We had a system, it's called the 12 plus, it's now called the 11 plus, not everybody has it, but it was an exam system, which was at the age of 12, you take a test, and if you pass, you go to some schools, and if you fail, you go to the other schools. And I failed. I didn't do very well. I failed. And I could have taken that as something that would knock me back forever, for a long time. I did A-levels, and I did A-level maths, and I got an E. I didn't do very well, but actually I've not let that define me. I'm now a senior director in a multi-billion-dollar company, and I never quite thought that would have been achievable. But I think actually knowing, yes, exams are important, you want to work your hardest, but they do not define your future. The next one I'd say is about networking. So I think sometimes this is a really scary word. So I would ask, who here's on LinkedIn? Who started building their network? And network to me is all about meeting people and making friends. I wanted to share a story of my first job, and I worked on a cruise company, or for a cruise company in the head office. And we got one free cruise a year. And me and my friend were looking through the brochure going, right, where should we go? One free cruise a year. And we went, the Antarctic. That would be amazing. We were both 19, thought, yeah, Antarctic is the place to go while it's free. So all we needed to do was book our flights, because you had to pay for your flights. And I had a look, and flights to the bottom of South America to Ushuaia are £1,800. Now, if you remember, I earned £12,000 a year. There was no chance I could pay £1,800 for flights. So I thought, who do I know? So I reached out to a guy that I knew who used to organize all the flights. And he went, don't worry, I'll get you on a free flight. If you can get to Miami, I'll get you from Miami down to the bottom of Argentina. Brilliant. Sorted that out. I need to stay in Miami overnight. I work with somebody in Miami. Let me call him. He's like, I'll sort you out a free hotel. And then we're like, right, a night in Miami. One of our suppliers went, hey, you're in Miami? Let me take you out for dinner. And then finally, I knew the girls who worked in reservations who said, let me sort you out a good cabin. And me and my friend had literally the best cabin on the ship. And to me, I never went out networking. That wasn't my intention. I'm a very sociable person and I made friends. And I look back now and I go, basically what I'd done at that point when I was 19 is I'd built a network. And I hadn't done it underhand. I hadn't done it with a, hey, one day you're going to be able to sort something out for me. It is a genuine, I want to make friends with people. I want to connect with people. And that really is what networking is all about. So I would implore all of you now to go think about your network. Have you started building it, or what can you do to start building your network? My next one is about, don't worry if not everything is A to Z in a straight line. My career has not been a straight line. And I've never really had a plan. Do you know what? I still don't quite know what I want to do when I grow up. And it was the same when I was 18. I wanted to work in London. It's not a career plan, but it was something that I wanted to do. So some people have an absolute plan of what they want, when they want it. But if I'm honest, most people don't. And that's absolutely fine. And my last point I would leave you with is find your sticky toffee pudding. So let me explain this. If I am out for dinner and I am full, I've eaten a starter and a main and I am full, can't fit another thing in. And then the dessert menu comes and I see sticky toffee pudding and I go, yeah, I can find a bit of space, and I'll always find space for a bit of sticky toffee pudding. And my tip is, what's your sticky toffee pudding when it comes to work life? So for me, it's about helping people. It's about coaching and mentoring. So I could be up to my eyes. At the moment, everything is so busy. It's a fast-paced environment that we live in and work in the tech environment. And I could be absolutely up to my eyes. But if somebody reaches out to me and goes, hey, have you got 5 minutes? I need a bit of help. Could you mentor me? My answer is always yes, because that's my sticky toffee pudding. That's the thing that really gives me energy and lights me up. So I need to make sure that I find enough space to do the thing that gives me energy. So my challenge to you would be, what's your sticky toffee pudding? And I will leave you there. Thank you very much. I think we're now onto the panel.
Thank you so much, Tara. Thank you so much, Jen. Really appreciate it. So yes, we've got our panel next. So bringing back all of our wonderful presenters today to have a discussion and give you some more insights and tips. So please feel free to use the chat section. Again, we love all of your questions. Thank you so much for the engagement so far. We are trying to get through a lot of the questions throughout as well, but really encourage you to make the most of Jen, Tara and Jasmine that are here today and ask some questions. We have already had some submitted for you ladies, so would love to kick off with the first question. So one of them that's been submitted here is, have you got any advice for standing out during the application process? We know that it's a very buoyant market out there. So any tips and advice for sort of standing out when you're going through this process?
So I would have...
Oh, Tara, I'll let you go first.
Thank you. So I would have a tip based on the fact that I am helping people at the moment apply for Women in Sales Awards. And they are currently doing their applications. And the couple of things that I've said to people are, how do you create some emotion? Because there are lots of applications that come through. So how do you make that connection and have an emotional connection with people? And my second one would be around, how do you leave them wanting to know a little bit more? So instead of putting everything in there, how do you leave them doing a little bit more? So for example, if I think about my sticky toffee pudding, going, you could put something like that in an application going, I found my sticky toffee pudding in life, and I think Adobe will really help me accelerate that. And I'd love to meet with you and tell you more about what my sticky toffee pudding is. If I were to read that, I'd go, oh, that's a little bit random. I want to know a bit more. So how do you leave with them with that intrigue, rather than going, I have put every single thing you could ever possibly ask me and want to know, actually go, oh, a little bit more. And that connection, the first one I said, is about trying to have some emotion. One of the recommendations I gave to somebody just yesterday in their application is they wrote around their job and what their job is and how they see it as so much more than just a day job. So my feedback was, you maybe put that in your introduction, going, my friends think I just sell electronic signature, but I know I have helped hundreds of businesses keep afloat during the last 18 months.
Sure.
So having that emotional connection rather than just factual, they would be my tips.
That's a great one. Absolutely. I'd love to bring Jasmine into the conversation. So Jasmine, thank you so much for joining the panel. Would love you to introduce yourself as well, because you've been through this process very recently. So I'm sure it would be really relevant for those on the call. So
of course. I'm Jasmine Anderson and I'm based in Dublin, in the Dublin office, and I am a business program manager intern for the BPCI team, so the business performance and continuous improvement. So basically my team is a group of program managers and change managers that help the finance organization with large scale projects and business objectives as well. So they kind of set the timelines and support the finance organization to the extent of anything they need. And yeah, they're great.
Awesome.
A great bunch. Yeah.
Fantastic. Is there anything that you could build on from what Tara was mentioning and trying to stand out during that application process? Would love to know. I know that from the year that we recruited yourself in, we had between 10 to 15,000 applications, both in the UK and then again in Romania. So you will know this firsthand, the need to kind of stand out. So we'd love to hear your advice.
Yeah. Well, for me, I kind of really enhanced my skills because I done an internship last year as well with Citibank. So I kind of had some skills that were quite relevant to the role. I had some project management skills in a finance organization already, but I did highlight that I was quite a creative person. And that's why I was applying to Adobe, and I kind of resonated with Adobe's core values as well. I kind of highlighted that on my CV. And as well, I kind of put in that I like to do stand-up comedy sometimes before the pandemic. So my manager was quite intrigued about that and some of the other things that I like to do in my spare time too. Yeah. So like my creative hobbies and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you kind of have to really highlight everything that you like to do.
Awesome. We'll definitely get you in Adobe's Got Talent and get that stand-up show for sure. Brilliant. Thanks, Jasmine.
No problem.
Jen.
Yeah, I think everything that's been said already is definitely there, and echoing Jasmine's point there about getting your personality across is so key. There will be so many applications that we'll get, so something that makes it appeal to you, make you stand out as you. So you're not trying to sit there and go through all of your grades you've got, what course you're doing, although that's obviously should be part of your CV. I don't want you to tell you not to put that on your CV, but something that also makes you you and what makes you different. The other thing I'd say is think about your experience. So when I was recruiting my intern this year, she was talking about how she was a waitress in a restaurant, but what she'd done is make that applicable to the role that she was looking at. So I'm a waitress in a restaurant, but as Tara was saying, actually, I serve hundreds of customers a week. I have to go make sure that people's bellies are full and they go home happy and they don't have to cook their own dinner and they don't have to wash their pots. It was much more around what that could actually mean and the benefit, so the experience that the result of that is as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
great
exactly.
Advice there, definitely.
Just to add to that there, Sari, in the interview process, you kind of do have to answer all of your questions with the STAR method as well. I kind of found that to really, really set the tone of what you're explaining, especially in the behavioral questions, and really give your results as well to kind of resonate with the job application objectives. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. The next question, I think what will be top of mind for some of the audience here is just thinking about the long-term opportunity with Adobe, and the fact that we really view this program as the Adobe career destination. Would love to hear a little bit about what you all think in terms of the the opportunity at Adobe for, you know, once you come in as an intern, progression into a graduate role and sort of beyond that. Would love to get your views on that.
Yeah, I'll give my view first. So I think there are different opportunities, and I think it's is even more so for people that really stand out, make a difference. So we had somebody in our team who was on the internship. She then went back to university for her final year, and she's now come back, and she literally started with us a month ago as a permanent job. So that's really, really good. The other thing that we had is we had 5 interns in our team. They were actually graduates, so they had graduated, but they joined us for 12-month contracts like the interns do, and there was no promise that we would be able to convert them at the end. But literally a week ago, we managed to convert all 5 of them to permanent headcount, which is absolutely fantastic. So I think, yes, it's definitely possible. I think it's about how do you come in, how do you make an impact, and yeah, there's definitely space.
Awesome.
Yeah, just to build on that, I think, and I'm going to get the stat wrong, so I'm just going to round it. I think it's about 70% of our interns come back to full-time employment afterwards. So there's definitely opportunity there. As I said, it might be in a different role, it might be in a different team, but even if you're one of the 30% that don't come back to Adobe, the likelihood is you would have built your network, created your network like Tara was talking about earlier, and you've also got experience to go and talk to organizations who you've worked with when you've been at Adobe, but also that experience on your CV. So as I said before, my internship was at Xerox. I was on their change management program, actually, so like Jasmine's doing, implementing one of our competitors, I should say, and then I went to go and work for the competitor afterwards.
Wow.
So I did my internship at Xerox and then went to go and work on the other side of it, and now I'm here. So it's definitely beneficial, and there's always ways to come back in, but yeah, 70% come back to Adobe.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Jasmine, I don't know if you had anything to add to that in terms of the opportunity that you've had. I know you've been here as an intern, but maybe a little bit about your experience, the opportunities you've had whilst doing that.
I mean, my internship really has been top class. And being honest, you know, straight from the beginning, I was, you know, interacting with people on my team already. They added me on LinkedIn. I was chatting to them on LinkedIn, and I was getting advice from them straight away. So when I first came in, you know, there was a lot of onboarding experience, but then it wasn't, to my surprise, it wasn't like your average internship. You know, I thought we'd have to start at a certain time at 9 o'clock, and we'd be given set times, you know, to work with our team or to work on projects and to go for lunch. But it wasn't like that at all. You know, you're really trusted, and you're given the respect to work in your own initiative and to set your own flexible hours as well. I mean, if you have meetings and stuff set up, you are expected to attend and to be punctual, but there's no one there to kind of make sure that you're working, or, you know, you don't have to prove that you're working hard. You have your deliverables set, and they give you the respect and the treatment to get your deliverables done, and they really trust you to exceed in your internship. And I feel like that kind of made me want to exceed even more and to really prove myself and to show them what I can do in my working on my own initiative. So I thought that was really, it was a great surprise to know. And the Intern Expo as well is it's a great networking opportunity as well. I came first for the finance business unit, so that kind of let me show my creativity as well. So I gained a lot of networking opportunities through that as well. And I've been given opportunities to, you know, present in front of the CAO. I presented to the CAO the other day about my whole internship experience, and the directors in my team and senior vice presidents as well over in the US. So I've been really lucky with the mentor and my manager to really give me all these opportunities. So I try to grab them with both hands. And basically, it's kind of like you're given every opportunity within Adobe, so it's up to you to handle, you know, and make sure you make the most out of your time. So yeah, it's been a great opportunity over the past 3 months. So I'm hoping to come back. Hoping to come back next May.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fantastic to hear. I guess we hear that a lot at Adobe, but just in general, I think kind of student looking at different career opportunities, networking being a really big area that's emphasized.
Yeah.
And it's great to hear from yourself, Jasmine, that you feel you've had that platform despite being in a virtual setting as well, because things have not been the kind of normal way. But again, question to the whole panel really is, what kind of best practice tips and advice do you have for that kind of using your network? I know, Tara, you touched on that some more in your presentation as well, but how can students leverage their network and use that to kind of build their brand? What advice do you have for them?
I think from my side, the first one will be, don't be afraid. Do reach out to a network. Most people that will be in your network will be happy to help you anyway. And I think that was one of the things that sort of held me back at the beginning. It was I didn't want to go and feel like I was asking for a favor, but actually the amount of people that came to me and said, I wish you'd told me you were doing that, I could have helped you. I am still in contact now with people who are on my internship, on my grad scheme, some 13 years later, they still support me. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help. And the other one I'd have is make sure that you're nurturing your network as well. So you don't necessarily have to go for a coffee with them every week, but make sure you're checking in regularly and just saying, hey, it doesn't have to be valuable. You don't have to give them any extra information, but just letting them know that you're still there, offering to help them as well, because sometimes there'll be questions that they want to come back to you with.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's great advice.
Yeah, I love them. And I think just echoing the don't be afraid to ask, I think if you know somebody that might be able to help you out, they might be able to help you get the foot in the door. Especially big companies, you won't get the final job just because you know somebody who knows somebody. But it might get you that first interview, and then it's on you to really kind of show, right, this is me, so you can feel confident that you've deserved it if at the end of the process you get offered it. But yeah, reach out to your network. People love helping people.
Exactly. During my time over the summer, I was very curious and I asked a lot of questions, and that opened more doors for me to network with senior leaders in the company outside the finance organization as well. So the more questions I asked, the more my manager or my mentor would connect me with other leaders in the company. So it was really great. So I would tell people to keep being curious and keep asking questions. Yeah.
Fantastic. I know we touched on a little bit around being, your authentic self and being genuine, and Jen, you covered a lot of that in your discussion. And I know some of the feedback that we get from all candidates, students and experienced candidates, is, the nerves set in, some of that imposter syndrome sometimes. What would be your sort of best tips and advice for students who are thinking about going through that application process, going through that interview process, to be able to really show their authentic selves and kind of get over some of those nerves?
So I love the topic of imposter syndrome. I have massive imposter syndrome. And the thing that my imposter says that I'm lucky. I'm just lucky. And when I am very rational, I go, hey, do you know what? I haven't got to where I am just because of luck. But the irrational part of me goes, oh, you're just lucky. At some point you're going to get caught out. So I think knowing that is real, rather than kind of imposter syndrome, I like to refer to it as my inner critic. So I have an inner critic that goes, oh no, but you couldn't possibly, or why would you? And actually it's our choice. It's our choice every single day. Do I choose to listen to my critic, or do I choose to listen to my cheerleader? And actually, the more you can get to know yourself and what you're good at, what your sticky toffee pudding is and things, then actually the more you can be tuned into what your inner cheerleader would say. And I think the other thing that I've had kind of a bit of an aha moment over the last year is around, our inner critic. All they're trying to do is keep you safe. That's it. So actually recognizing that and go, thank you. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. However, I want to put myself out there and apply for this. I want to go for it. Do you know what? It might not be the safest option, but it's the only way that I will grow and potentially get what I wanted. So they would be my tips there.
Fantastic. Thank you,
Yeah.
Tara.
I love that. And also, I've had this, somebody said the same to me recently. They're trying to keep you safe, and you go, but what are you safe from? What's the worst that can happen? And I'd encourage you, when you think you might not do something, ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? You're not performing brain surgery on someone. One of my colleagues says that to me all the time when I'm in a negotiation doing a deal or something. They're like, it's not brain surgery. The worst is they're not going to go with Adobe. And what? You're still alive, they're still alive, everyone's still happy. So make sure you're asking yourself that. And then what does safe mean for you?
Yeah. I think it's important for everyone to know that I think everybody has a little bit of imposter syndrome. I know I've had a lot of times where I get very, very anxious and nervous, speaking or giving a presentation, especially throughout my internship. And only the other day I went through it presenting to the CAO. But I always feel you just try to push through it. That's what I do. I always say to myself, fake it till you become it. You will become a confident person. Just keep pushing. And I just say yes to any opportunity that comes in front of me. Like this webinar, I said yes straight away. So every opportunity that comes your way to kind of push through, just say yes and just keep going. Yeah.
Love that. Absolutely. Sounds like we're all on the same page there in terms of say yes and deal with the anxiousness after, and we come through off the back of that. But
yeah,
it's been amazing to have you all here and to take all of these questions. I know there are a few other questions in the Q&A box around when applications open, so they are open in October in terms of specific roles. Please do go out and check our career site out from today. There is an opportunity there as well for you to take a look at. We have put a link in the chat section for some survey feedback, so we'd love to hear how today went. And of course, you can connect with us all on LinkedIn. We'd be happy to hear from you all and take some more questions directly. Thanks again for all of your participation and engagement, and we look forward to hearing from you later on.